G'day folks. Well, Betty the RAV4 has been looking for a bit of attention recently, and one of those things is or things that requires attention is the idle air control. She loves to rev, like even with the idle or throttle butterfly screw wound all the way down, she still idles at 1500. So I've checked for vacuum leaks everywhere else, that's alright. It's the idle air controller. So I'm going to take that off now. As you can see, I've already got the throttle body off. I'm just going to disconnect and plug up the coolant hoses and we should be right. They look like roughly 1/2 inch holes, so I found a few spent cases I was going to throw in the bin. Instead, jam them in the coolant hoses so we don't lose any coolant. We'll keep the throttle body bolts. They're 12mm head, 3 of them. 1, 2 and 3. Just unbolt it, take the throttle body away after removing the intake plenum, or whatever you want to call it. It's basically just a hose with a anti-reverberation chamber or something on top of it. Disconnect the throttle cable. We'll disconnect that vacuum hose which goes down to the carbon canister. Looks like, yep, that goes to the carbon canister. We'll disconnect the throttle position sensor or potentiometer, and I've already got the IAC disconnected. I apologise for the light levels, it's pretty dark out here, but I want to get this fixed. Alright, there we go. We've got the 2 small ones which are coolant, and the big one which seems to be a vacuum or air hose that goes down to the bottom of the crankcase or something. I have to wait until daylight before I can tell where that goes, but I've plugged off the coolant lines, just spent casings, kind of handy. So yeah, they're completely plugged off. I'm just going to disconnect the throttle position sensor, potentiometer, and I can remove this entire throttle body essentially. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Hose is plugged up. Throttle body can come out, and that is the idle air controller and throttle body heating. Got hot water coming through the throttle body. So in theory this should shut off when the engine's up to temperature, but it's not. So it's stuck. It's carboned up, gummed up, stuck, whatever. So I'm going to try and fix it, although some people say you shouldn't really bother trying to fix them, just replace them. Well, it should just be a thermally operated valve, so unless the thermal element's gone, the valve itself should be easy to unstick and use again. Okay, so we've got the throttle body off. Let's have a bit of a look at it. Looks like the outside of the butterfly is built up in different metal. It's almost a bimetal butterfly. I wonder what they coat that with. Just the edges of it. Like a nickel alloy or pot metal, something like that. That's really odd, I've never seen that before. Yeah, it's got a different metal on the outer edge. That's strange. At 850, about 50mm. Anyway, that's what I want to remove. That's the idle air control valve, IAC valve. This is on the manifold side, and there's the passage there that the idle air goes through, coming from this valve. So yeah, I've given it a bit of a clean, but you can still see there's a lot of carbon in there. It's fairly dirty. Well, it's nowhere near as dirty as it was, but it's dirty enough. But yeah, she wouldn't settle down. Once warmed up, she'd just idle at 1500, and I have the screw here wound all the way back. Like that valve is hard shut. Pretty much can't see daylight past it. A little bit. Yeah. Matter of fact, it's still not enough. The idle air control should still shut off. There's a bit of daylight because there's a bit of wear and tear next to the shaft sides, but yeah, who knows. Anyway, it's getting late, but I better finish this thing off before I lose the plot altogether. It's always fun. Okay, well, looks like that shutter there hasn't moved in a while. There's a lot of carbon deposit on it. I'll have to have a bit of a play around with it, but it does look like it's stuck. As you can see, there's a passage from the air cleaner side, the atmospheric side there, and that one there goes through to the vacuum side, the intake manifold. And it does look like that little stepping motor controlled shutter is not moving. That's not good. So I'm going to try and clean it up, free it up, see what I can do. If not, I'll have to replace that unit. But pretty sure that's the problem. Usually is. Uncontrolled or constant hot, cold idle. These engines like to rev a little bit while they're cold until they get warm water through to here, and then the thermostatic valve should shut this off. But in this case it's not working, so I might have to replace this unit if I can't free it up and clean it up. Okay then, now I've taken the coil off. You can see there's one pole inside there and another pole there, so it's like a two-pole, like a shaded pole motor essentially. And this rotor would not move unless I really forced it, and now it's actually come free and it moves. If I try and force it, there's a bit of spring tension, probably from a thermostatic valve in there, but it seems to have come good. The little shut off works now. That's what it's supposed to do, but it took a considerable amount of force, like many kilograms of torque, to break it free. But once it started moving, it's working okay. So I think I've fixed it. I shouldn't have to replace it because that's pretty much indestructible. That's a sealed shaded pole motor, DC motor essentially. And that is its little rotor connected to a shutter that shuts off airflow to the intake manifold. So yay, I'll flush that with some carburetor cleaner and we should be done. It should work again. At least I hope. If it doesn't, well, yeah, at least I tried. I got nothing much else to lose apart from going to Repco and buying another one. So yeah, it should work alright. I'll give that a bit of a clean up too. Yeah, there we go. I'd be willing to bet Toyota recommend that you don't take it apart simply because they want to sell you a new part. This one seems to have cleaned up alright. I've just got to do a test run, and I imagine she won't want to idle because the butterfly screw is actually backed all the way off, trying to stop the excessive idle. But that'd actually be a good sign if that happens. Anyway, let's reclip these coolant hoses on. I'm going to replace them with new ones anyway, very soon. Same with most of this stuff, replace radiator hoses, everything. Ignition leads. The ignition leads are as old as the car is. But for now, let's fix the high idle problem. Let's reconnect everything, and away we go. Okay, much better. Proper idle speed. Much more normal. Yeah, that's a lot more normal. Normally should be idling at about 1400 by now. I think I'd say that IAC is fixed. There you go, lights. Batteries are not so fixed. Both of them belong in the bin. They're just completely screwed. Yeah, I'll probably increase that idle a bit. She's chugging. If you turn the air conditioning on, she'll probably stall. No, high idle kicks in. She won't stall, but pretty close. Now I've just got to run her up to temperature on the road and adjust the idle accordingly. At least now I've got something to play with. And then we'll put the new brakes and pads on and should be all good. Ready for a roadworthy. Good little RAV. I like this car. Yeah, there we go. IAC just kicked off. High beams. Yeah, alternator isn't pulling it down too much. I think the dead batteries are what's pulling it down. First time I've heard this engine idle this low. I've never heard it idle this low. Knocking something over. Have to take the cover off and check the timing gears, make sure they're not flopping around. Nice. Yeah, she's fixed. I thought that would be the case. You certainly can't go wrong with cleaning an IAC valve, even though Toyota suggests that you don't do it and you just go to the dealer and buy another one. It's fairly rude of Toyota to suggest that you have to buy another IAC valve. Yeah, like I said before, with everything, it's worth tinkering with. You've got nothing else to lose apart from like $100 at the dealer, or whatever they're worth. Anyway, I'm going to warm up, find a decent battery for little Betty there, and give her a good run tomorrow. Thanks for watching.